Hello and welcome to Comics from the Future, the weekly show we show all the newest comics that are available to order. I'm Jason,
I'm Andy.
and we're with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. So we have a worker out today, and we have a new worker who's being trained. So for that reason, our co-host Megan, she's out on the floor, she's wheeling, she's dealing, she's training, she's doing everything that she could do better than us. So she's left us to do the
You're
show.
stuck with these two lugs
Yep,
today.
yep, sorry. So, all right. We're going to go over all the comics available to order this week, beginning with the featured comics.
Yes, and there's a big one this week. Now, as a reminder, there is no DC this week
That's right.
because DC did a double week last week. So those will be spread out. You'll still get your comics the correct weeks, but for ordering them, they had to do it early. So you won't see any DC in here. Probably the first week ever we've never had the word Batman featured on anything.
And that's because of Labor Day.
Yeah.
So because of the holiday, they did double order last week, no order this week. So it's just going to be Marvel and lots of other
Yeah.
good indie comics to order.
But what is bigger than a new Spider-Man #1? Marvel swooped in there. They said there's no DC this week, so we will come out swinging with Spider-Man #1. This is by longtime Spider-Man writer Dan Slott, who hasn't been writing Spider-Man for a while, but I am partial.
He just can't get away
He
from
can't stay
Spider-Man for very
away.
long.
Dan Slott, the creator of the Spider-Verse, when I started reading Spider-Man on a regular basis, that's when Dan Slott was doing his run with Spider Island. Big time, all of that. Fantastic writer on Spider-Man. He really gets the tone and the feel and the quippiness. And what other more modern but synonymous artist than Mark Bagley? So this is a really big book. I believe no one has said this is a miniseries. I believe this is an ongoing.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. It's ongoing.
Um, and but this is not a Elseworld. It's not anything. This is actually it seems to be running parallel with Amazing Spider-Man because it refers to Peter working for Norman Osborn. He's got his new suit. He's got the glider. All of that. But this story is the end of the Spider Verse. So Dan Slott created the Spider Verse. I guess he's the only one who is capable of ending it later on. Now, will it be gone forever? Probably not. It's got a very popular movie franchise, but it does see the return of Morlun, who is the big villain in Spider Verse, teamed up with someone they say is the biggest villain in all the Spider Verse, and they're going to attempt to destroy the Spider Verse. So Peter Parker has to team up with all of the other realities Spider-Men, like they have going on right now on Edge of the Spider Verse. They're going to be bringing a lot of those characters in to team up and face off against this threat. So we don't know a whole lot of details about this going forward. We know about this book. We know the first story arc, but I feel like there's still a lot to be discovered about this series, especially after the Spider Verse story is over. How does this fit in and continue on? But very excited about this. You're going to see Miles. You're going to see Gwen. You're going to see Spider-Man 2099. You're going to see all of those together again for this. I feel like, I mean, I'm surprised they didn't call this like end of the Spider Verse, an event book. But this is just adjectiveless Spider-Man. So this is our A cover with Mark Bagley. We have our really nice Art Adams B cover with Gwen. We have our connecting BENGAL variant. Now, here's the interesting thing about this. I was trying to figure this out. Up there next to his glider, there's a tiny dot that says spoiler. So is there a character far in the distance that would fit inside that spoiler? Or is there a missing character? I don't know. Is there, I don't know, a little something hanging off of
A
the
crazy piece to his glider. Now, I would say it's a character. I
Yeah.
think you might be right there.
I wonder if it's that tiny Spider-Man that was in
The
the
mini
mini
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. I don't know. That struck me very weird because it's not like it's a button that all the covers have. No, it's just on this one. So I'll be really interested to see what's behind that tiny
On page
dot.
one, Spider-Man's going to be like, yeah, this glider's cool, but I need a spoiler decal. He literally just puts
Yeah.
the decal
It's just
there.
like a little dice that hangs off of it as it flies. But anyways, as you can see, he's wearing his Norman Osborn suit. Our next variant is a blank variant, of course. Then we have the John Tyler Christopher action figure variant, which is fun because the other heads are kind of what his suit is able to do now. It can have these emotes and stuff. And then I really like this one. This is the Humberto Ramos variant with so many characters on it. I tried to look through them. There's some familiar, some not so familiar.
That's
So
like a
that's
spider stew. You know, you throw in all your spider characters and just
yeah.
mix.
We have one more, which is the Scotty Young variant.
Oh, so sad
So
out in the
sad.
rain. Okay, so here's a new one from Declan Shalvey called Old Dog. So Shalvey is writing it, doing the interior art and the cover art. So just one of those, creators doing the entire thing. So the premise of this comic is there's a CIA agent and he's nearing retirement age. He goes on one last mission and it's pretty much disastrous. He's had sort of a bad career, just sort of the capstone to a bad career. Well, I don't know what happens, but it says that years later he is sort of brought back. So it sounds like I don't know if it's just brought back in commission or if he was like frozen or what. I don't say. They bring this character back and they give him another chance to sort of redeem himself. But will this old dog be able to learn new tricks?
Oh, there we go.
I mean, it was in the solicitation. I mean, he obviously is playing off that. So
Yeah.
anyhow, so that is the premise of it. It's ongoing as far as I can tell. And so we have a few covers. Here is the main cover by Shalvey himself. Here is the Martin variant. And here is a blank sketch variant. This is one of those books, I think it's called a spy sci or a spy-fi.
Spy
So it's,
Fi.
yeah, instead of sci-fi, spy-fi.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like they teased this book a long time ago. I've been
Mm,
hearing the name for a long
really?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, next up is the return of a character that I actually read a whole interview with Gillen about this. This is Axe, Avengers X-Men Eternals, StarFox #1. Now, I believe this is just a one shot, and spoiler for the last issue of Axe Judgment Day, StarFox. They went to go find StarFox. So he was presumed dead from a few years ago. He is Thanos' brother. He just so happened to recently appear in a Marvel movie after the credit scene. So of course, in the way Marvel does, they start trying to get people more familiar with that character. Gillen even mentioned I don't know what they're doing with him in the MCU, but I do think it's a good idea to have a nice new shiny copy on the shelves when people ask about a character. And I agree, like that's really good for this. Now, this is going to be interesting because this is going to um, not reinvent, I guess, kind of reinvent the character, but kind of make a new entry point for the character. Star Fox or Eros has a long history in the Marvel universe, a very dark past. Given his abilities, he's done some not so savory things. So it sounds like while he's been away, he's been kind of thinking about this stuff and coming to terms with it, and now going forward in a new way to express his powers. So you'll have to see what they mean by that, but it looks like he's kind of focusing his powers for good.
He's a
Um,
lot more fashionable than his brother Thanos.
yes, so that is the other thing they said. This is a brand new costume for Star Fox, but the interesting thing is, he teased that he may have more than one look. I don't know if that means costume or form that he can take on because he's in it. He talks about and this is what Star Fox looks like, right? He couldn't look any different, could he, or something like that. So it sounds like there's going to be some surprises in this as well. So if you've never read anything with this character and you want to learn more, I feel like this is kind of why that was made, is to bring him into the public eye in an easy to digest manner.
I hope they talk more about how Thanos and him are brothers but look so different. I guess brothers, maybe Thanos is one of his parents was like a California raisin or something.
Grimace from the McDonald Land Bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is our A cover by our main artist Nicola. Then we have our Kevin WADA variant. Great collar there. And I feel like this is so. Of course, they've been doing these animal variants. This is Chrissy Zullo, but considering there is a character called StarFox that is a space traveling pilot that's a fox.
Right.
This feels like we're getting dangerously close to Nintendo territory.
I can almost hear those weird voices. Okay, so there is a new Miracleman series that's beginning, but before that, there's an issue number 0 lead-in. So this is Miracleman number 0 by Miracleman old-time creator and alumni Neil Gaiman and Mark Buckingham, coming back together after 30 years to continue their Miracleman stories. So this 0 is the lead-in to the new series, which is going to be called Miracleman: The Silver Age. Okay, so this is just Miracleman 0. Silver Age is going to be the story that this leads into, which will be the ongoing one starting up after that. So not a lot on what this one is about. It's just supposed to be a lead-in and also a celebration of all things Miracleman. That's such a catch-all.
Yeah,
A celebration of all
celebration.
things. So I don't know what to expect from this, but I mean, Miracleman really hasn't had a lot of Marvel comics in a long time. I think it is time to reintroduce readers to this. And if Gaiman and Buckingham are coming back, I think they're going to want to refresh everyone's memories and
Yeah.
say, here's where we're starting from, so you won't be lost with this Silver Age that we're doing next. Now, as far as the Silver Age, which we'll talk more about when it's available, I wanted to at least say something about it. It's supposed to be a Miracle Man, someone from the Miracle Man family whose last appearance was in the Silver Age, and he's back in our time. So somebody who's like a 60s superhero, but he's in modern days, fish
Hmm.
out of water sort of tale.
That's really interesting. It seems like Marvel, over the years, they've kept Miracle Man stuff in print. They've had one shots. It's a character that they're really committed to, but I don't know what their end game with it is. Finally, they do have, it sounds like an ongoing starting
Right.
or a mini series or something, but Miracle Man is a character that I feel like has gotten away from a lot of people where they were past the generations that read it. So it'll be interesting to see how well.
I think Marvel is just waiting for Neil Gaiman to get tired of being famous in all the other ways he's famous
Yeah.
and go, comics, that's where I started. Yeah, come on back, Neil.
Oh, yeah. And Buckingham on it. That's great.
Absolutely. So here is a regular cover. Here is the Dodson variant. And here is the Scotty Young variant. Probably the first time we've seen Miracle Man.
So, so adorable. It almost looks like a Funko Pop.
Yep.
Next up is a new book from Boom. I'm always excited now when there's a new book from Boom that's kind of has this feel because we've gotten so many big hits with Something's Killing Children and Grimm and all of that. So this is Briar. Now, if you're unaware of Briar or Briar Rose, is Sleeping Beauty. That is her. I know all that from reading Fables.
Oh,
Fables got me very familiar with a bunch of iterations of fairy tale characters. But this is by Christopher Cantwell, who just had his long run on Iron Man, has written some great stuff. He actually comes from TV. And artist German Garcia are going to be doing this new book about Sleeping Beauty, Briar, and in it, there's a couple of preview pages. It starts out like the fairy tale. She pricks her finger and falls asleep under a spell, and it's up to a prince to come and kiss her and wake her up. Well, what happens when that prince comes in and he decides, you know what? I can say I'm the prince, but it's better if she stays asleep and I just use this as like I'm fighting for her and kind of use her as a way to for him to seem good that he's fighting for her and all this, but secretly he just wants to rule. And so she's left asleep, but something happens where she gets awoken after that prince has sent the entire kingdom into ruin, and she wakes up in this world that is unfamiliar. When she fell asleep, she was very innocent, and she wakes up. It's a completely different world, and now she has to survive in it and kind of regain what she lost. So it sounds really cool. It sounds like another big hit for Boom. I'm excited about this one, and we've got some great covers
I
for
mean,
this.
this cover is great.
It is great.
What they've done with the reds and sort of the greens on it,
Yeah.
really nice. And I mean, I like seeing her. She's dragging the sword.
Hmm.
Really cool cover.
That's the kind of cover you
Big
look at it and
title.
you're like, strong.
Yep.
Like that's going to be a book people pick up just because they're struck by the cover.
Absolutely.
Then we have a Yannick Paquette variant, really cool. We have a Mirka Andolfo cover. And this is the FOC reveal variant, which means you couldn't see it. They didn't release it up until this time for ordering it by Stephanie Hans.
Right, another very interesting indie book that I'm going to talk about now. It's called Flawed. It's by one of the co-writers of Bitterroot.
Mm-hmm.
And so check this out. She is a psychiatrist by day, but a vigilante in a Kafka-esque city by night, where she's going to go up against an immortal serial killer.
Good
You,
luck.
you got me on that though. I mean, just that sounds. It's like I'm interested, more interested. Okay, I got to read this one. So that is the premise to Flawed #1. I think just sort of enough said on that. And here is the variant for it as well.
It's very interesting where like the city is teeth
Yep.
eating her and stuff. That's really cool.
I guess that's the Kafka-esque.
Yeah. We've had quite a few people already sign up for this because there's big Chuck Brown fans out there after Bitterroot, so this is going to be cool. And next up, just so you don't miss out on it, this is Avengers X-Men Eternals X-Men #1. So yeah, this is getting very hard to pull off.
X-Men's in the title twice.
Yes.
It's great.
So our first one we had the Avengers one shot that it said was a critical rating for the event. Now this one as well is critical for your reading of the event. It doesn't say a whole lot about it, but that it looks like it's going to be focusing on Jean Grey because it even says, "One world burns. Can she justify her existence after burning another?" So it sounds like Jean Grey is kind of on a rampage. We'll have to see. But wanted to show this one mostly to let you know if it's saying it's critical, then I think you're going to want to sign up for it. Go ahead and order it because with these one shots, stores are going to be kind of iffy on how many they order. And if it turns out to be really important, you don't want to miss it. So this is our A cover. We have this really cool Art Adams variant.
Got a lot of good Art Adams covers coming through.
And then we have this LARROCA connecting variant.
All right, our last featured comic is Night of the Ghoul. This is a 3-parter from Scott Snyder and Francesco Francavilla. That's an interesting team.
Yeah.
Of course, Snyder, he likes to write sort of that action horror with dark comedy, and Francavilla is all about drawing the horror.
Oh yeah.
And his style will play well to this because this is about Night of the Ghoul. In this, it was a movie that was slated to come out alongside of like Dracula and Frankenstein, like the originals. It was supposed to be right up there as one of the main Universal movies. I don't know who the ghoul is in this, but that creature was supposed to be a big Universal creature. Something happened. The movie was never released. The canisters with the film disappeared. Anyway, now it's our time, and somebody finds one of the reels. And as they start researching it, they learn that the creature might actually be a real creature. And maybe that's why it was hidden and all that. So that is sort of the premise for Night of the Ghoul. This is just a 3-part series, so it's not some big ongoing thing. It's just 3 and done. Sort of like what Snyder did with We Have Demons.
Yeah.
So a good 3-parter from Dark Horse from Scott Snyder, and I think Francavilla is the perfect art choice for this.
What a great cover! It's almost reminiscent of like Nightmare Before Christmas. You know, the moon and that like weird structure and everything. It's very evocative.
Yeah, and some scary things off to the sides.
Yeah.
Okay, and it looks like just the one cover.
Just the one cover. I feel like that's been kind of a little bit of a trend with some of Snyder's books recently is less covers. So I think that's going to be an easy pickup.
All right, so next up is other #1s. They're not our featured #1s, but they still matter.
They matter in our hearts.
Yes.
Starting with Brigade. Now, who remembers Brigade? Filling dollar boxes across the world. I know I own a copy of Brigade. This is, I think that Rob Liefeld's been doing it. He did it with Prophet, and now with Brigade. I think there was maybe one other one that another one coming up that's getting this treatment, but it's the remastered edition where different artists do different pages of it. So we've got people in this one like Clay Mann, Kenneth Rocafort, Ed Piskor, and Jim Rugg from your Comics Kayfabe fame and Red Room and all of that, coming together to re-envision this Brigade one shot. And now I couldn't find it, the article, but I did see somewhere where there is possibly a cup story in this of a new Rob Liefeld created character. I remember hearing that and seeing the article about it. I couldn't find it again, but that's just a thing to keep in mind for this one. So we've got this Liefeld A cover, and this one very different. This B cover, if you don't want that text weighing his back down. We have this Michaels variant.
I mean, so 90s though. Like just channeling, it just takes me right back.
And we have, of course, a blank cover where you can draw your own brigade.
Okay, so here's another number one from Scout Comics. It is called Killcella. What this is about, some friends go to a rock festival where this reclusive pop star kind of comes out of his reclusive hole, and he gets all of his acolytes and fans to agree to be part of some massive sacrifice. And of course, I'm guessing our characters who are at this rock festival are not fans of his. They'll probably be running for their lives, trying not to get killed.
Doesn't all this really happen at Coachella? I thought this was just like a biography. I've never been, but I've heard things.
Well, that is the premise for Killcella number one from Scout Comics.
And just one cover.
That's true, yep.
A lot of one covers. Like this one, this is Resident Evil Darkness Beginning. So I think this is really cool. I mean, how long has it been since we've had Resident Evil in comics? I know there was like maybe some pack-in stuff with games, like in collector's editions.
I think there might have been a free comic book day, like it was like one of 3 stories.
Yeah, but really, Resident Evil has not been in comics proper for quite a while. But this picks up in the universe of the Netflix series that focuses on Leon Kennedy as the main character. But this is not an adaptation; it's stories within that universe. So it also says all new original stories from the world of Resident Evil. So I'm hoping we get some different time frames and different characters from the Resident Evil games. I think that'd be super cool. And in one thing, it calls this a graphic novel, but another one, it's just a single issue comic. It's $4.99. I'm guessing it's a little bit oversized.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a graphic novel.
I don't think it's graphic novel. I think maybe they just mean it's like a one
generous.
story within a format like this. But if you're a Resident Evil fan, this one's from Tokyo Pop. You'll want to check it out.
Okay, so this one also just has one cover. It is called Onyx. And in fact, not only does it just have one cover, it is a one-shot. It's a one and done. It's got art by Gabriel Rodriguez. So this is about a cyborg warrior named Onyx, who I think we can see there on the cover pretty clearly. And they arrive in near future Nigeria. So they just like pop down to the planet, to our planet, in near future Nigeria, alongside this entity that corrupts all life. It doesn't say how that works, but you know, doesn't sound very good. So the question is Onyx good? Is Onyx evil? Why is this cyborg there? Betting Onyx is good. I mean, look at that.
Yeah,
it's like as heroic as it gets. But the solicitation wants us to wonder. Yeah, just a cool one and done comic from Gabriel Rodriguez and team on this.
Yeah, Rodriguez is your artist from Lock and Key. So if people want something to tie it back to, that's what your art's going to be like. And next up we have Godzilla, Monsters, and Protectors, All Hail the King, #1. So this is kind of our second volume of the Godzilla Monsters and Protectors. It's kind of a young adult Godzilla take, focusing on some younger characters in the Godzilla universe. And this one, Godzilla's been missing for over a year. There hasn't been any sightings of him. And our main character runs a blog about Godzilla. So it's really been tanking since there's been no Godzilla sightings. And people are even starting to doubt his claims on there. But it sounds like there's something even worse than Godzilla coming. So if you're a fan of Godzilla, you want to check this one out. This is our A cover. And then this is our Bell variant.
All right, here's a four-parter by Tim Seeley called The Roadie. And they say, the solicitation says this is a horror saga about nostalgia, heavy metal music, and redemption. It has to do with a roadie. He's kind of older now. He's kind of done with it, but he has to go back on the road to do the thing that he used to do ages ago. His side gig, which is he was an exorcist. So a roadie heavy metal
If you got a
exorcist.
couple extra days on the road, you can, look
That
for any jobs in the area.
that definitely has an audience. Like there is such a crossover between people who love music and people who love comics and people who love horror. So I think this is a good mix right there. Strong cover. So just a four-parter by Tim Seeley. Just the one cover on this too.
And then we have Pulp Bites. I really like the cover for this. Definitely pulpy inspired. Even looks like the paper texture is like that. It's from Scout Comics, and it is by Pat Higgins. Does the writing and the art, and this is also in your style of your anthology series with one and done stories. This has two stories in it. It's horror meets technology. So if you like that kind of pulpy short story, you'll like this one.
Okay, so next up is cool covers and other comics. This is going to be variant covers that we think are particularly of note, and issue number 2s and 3s of new series that you might want to sign up for. Maybe you read that number 1 and you don't want to miss the next one. Beginning with Edge of the Spider-Verse, issue number 5. So this is going to be the end of the Edge of the Spider-Verse.
The end of the Edge of the
the
Spider-Verse
end
before the end of the
of
Spider-Verse.
them showing all the characters getting together before they do the Spider-Verse. This is a pretty noteworthy issue, though. There's going to be 3 new Spider characters in this. A lot of these have had 1 new, 2 new. Well, they're ending it with 3 new. You're going to have Web Weaver, which is a Spider-Man that's also into fashion, like a fashion
designer. Yeah.
You're going to have Hunter Spider, which is what if Craven in a certain universe was a Spider-Man? And I mean, you can see that.
That's pretty scary.
Right there, yeah. And the third one is a surprise. It's not. They're not saying what it is, but it's created by the 2 guys who are behind the Spider-Verse movie. The guys who did the Enter the Spider-Verse movie, they're working on the new one. Well, they're doing a story and they're having a new spider, but they're not telling anyone what it is yet. So here's our regular cover, and here is the Anka variant. I have a feeling we're going to have gobs of people buying these, as we have with every single one. So definitely let your store know how many of these that you would like.
Also, it really does sound like this time Dan Slott is going to be using a lot of the characters introduced in this. It kind of made mention in one of the articles that this is to prime you for the characters that are going to move into that. So, very cool. And then next up, we have Hulk number 9. So, what's important about this is it is going back to after the Hulk Thor crossover, we're back into the Just Hulk storyline. So, it's back to Ryan Ottley on art. And this story arc is called Hulk Planet. We've had Planet Hulk, but this is Hulk Planet. And they tease that there's a new character called Monolith, which I'm guessing might be the character on the cover. Looks very monolithic, and with that chair, looks like a monolith. So very interesting. But it sounds like this could be a place that Hulk could set down roots. We'll have to see, but very cool. It's our A cover.
I mean, with monsters like that, who wouldn't want to live?
We have the Asrar variant. This is the Miracleman variant. It's got a surprise coming. And then we have the Dale Keown Predator variant.
Wow, Predator is currently beating Hulk?
Yeah.
That's one heck of a Predator. All right, so there are a lot of these NetEase variants that are available this week. So this is the NetEase variant corner for our show. So this is the NetEase variant for New Fantastic Four number 5. Here is that variant. I'm not going to say that word a million times. For Savage Avengers number 6. Here is the variant for Marauders number 7. Dakin, very angry and
Yeah.
screaming. Here is the variant for Ant-Man number 4. And then we also have one for Captain America Sentinel of Liberty number 5.
That one looks really cool.
And lastly, we have the one for Jane Foster, Mighty Thor number 5. That'll be the final issue of that miniseries.
And apparently these tie in with Marvel Duel, which is a game, but I haven't looked into it. I think it's a mobile game.
Right.
But I know NetEase does a lot of that kind of promotional art for the games.
There's also a Peach Momoko variant for Jane Foster Mighty Thor number 5 as well. We don't want anyone to miss out on. So here's the Momoko variant for that.
And next up, we have Mandalorian number 4. This is, of course, also the 4th episode of the show, the one where he protects the village and teaches them how to fight against the ATST that comes out of the woods. Very cool, and this is just continues to be super popular. We sell out of every issue. So this is our A cover, the Phil Noto cover. We have the concept art. We have the LARROCA. And we have the Peach Momoko. Now, interesting thing about this is, depending on where your store orders from, these last 2 covers, the LARROCA and the Momoko, were not available through Diamond. Those were available through Penguin Random House. So your mileage may vary on if you can get these covers depending on where your store orders them, because I did not see them available to order from the other.
Interesting. I have to say that's a particularly good Momoko cover.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really all that detail. Okay, so this is the A cover for TMNT, their ongoing series, issue number 133. This, of course, is going to be part of the Apocalypse game.
Armageddon game.
Armageddon game that I'm reading. I'll get the name wrong. This is part of the Armageddon game. And in this issue, while the other turtles are off recruiting help to go up against Rat King, it's left to Donatello and Jenica to go up against Rat King's forces, which is Baxter Stockman, Madame Null, and Leathercrag. So just Donatello and Jenica focused issue, which I think is interesting. So this is the A cover, and then we have a Kevin Eastman cover. But as usual, Kevin Eastman he's taking his time.
Yeah.
He's making it special, and he usually does.
And then next up, we have Minor Threats number 2. I want to remind you about this series by Patton Oswalt. I read number 1. Very cool about this this B or C tier of supervillains that are going to attempt to stop this other supervillain because he's got all of the heroes kind of on a rampage trying to find him, and they're just going to try to level everything out, ease it up in the city. So want to remind you about this issue number 2, and we have a Francavilla cover with the super creepy Stickman as the big villain in this in the background.
All right, here is the More variant to 8 Billion Genies number 5, the Runaway hit series. And in this issue, it has been 8 months since this began. So we're now 8 months out. We get to see what the world is like, what's going on. Also, it teases something. It says, who is the Idea Man? So it looks like there may be a new major character.
I think it's a character that was a little bit teased that even when the series started, we had discussions about people. There's someone who would rise up who has really good ideas, and you would go to them because you don't want to squander your thing, and he'd help you figure out how to word your wish. And I think that's what this guy is going to be.
That's a good thought. So yeah, this is the More variant.
Okay, now this is Image 30th, the ongoing anthology series, issue number 6. But what makes this one special, it is the return of the Pro, the Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connor, very mature, dark, funny take on superheroes. Here on the cover of the Pro, she's only had that one graphic novel, but I think it's one of the best-selling single graphic novels, been reprinted so many times. Bringing that character back for a new story. Also in this is a new hack slash story from Tim Seeley, but it's hack slash versus Image. So it's almost like what's the
Like Punisher versus Marvel
or
Universe, Spawn kills the Image
yeah,
Universe.
they did the I Hate Fairyland kills the Marvel or the Image universe, something like that. Sounds really cool. So didn't want you to miss out on this with these returns to some classic stories.
All right, so this is the main cover to Spawn Scorched number 10. In this, the Sin Devourers have returned. And here is the variant. This is the Keen variant to Spawn Scorched number 10.
And then Gun Honey, Blood for Blood, that just came out this last week. Don't want you to miss number 2 if you are on this series. This is the A cover for that. And then there's also, if you remember, this was the art germ cover that was covered in honey. This is called the Copic cover. So I think it's just the one that he did in Copic markers before it's digitally painted. So this is the second printing of number 1 with much less honey.
Being a gun honey is a sticky business. All right, so next up is other printings and graphic novels, beginning with Amazing Spider-Man number 1. This is a facsimile edition. So for those of you out there in the 99 percentile like me who cannot afford to just go buy an Amazing Spider-Man number 1 and flip it open and read it, but you want to see everything, the ads, everything as it was, here's a chance to buy it for just reasonable cover price. Today's cover price, not the 12 cents.
Yeah.
This, of course, was by Stan Lee with art by Steve Ditko. The cover was done by Ditko and Kirby, which is pretty cool seeing them on the same cover. Spider-Man number 1, it's really interesting story. There's a few stories in it, but one that's really interesting you see on the cover is he tries to show off for the Fantastic Four to join them. That's why they're on this cover. Yeah, he's trying to be like, hey, look at all the things I could do. Guess how that one ends.
I'm sure I read that issue number 1 sometime in the past, but I've never stopped and looked at the cover to be like, what's going on? It always kind of looks like he's like outside of a shopping mall or something, like the entrance to a mall. I don't know, but this is cool. You can look at it up close.
Yeah, I'm glad they do this. I kind of feel these big comics like this, they should just always be around at a price where people can pick it up and see where everybody started. So
same with the Tomb of Dracula number 1. Now, what is so? This is, of course, the series that introduces Blade later on. Was there anything particularly like first appearance in number 1?
I don't know if it was like Dracula's Marvel first appearance. Maybe.
Yeah, it's an interesting one shot to or a facsimile to put out because usually it coincides with an Avengers character or something. So I'm wondering if this is maybe we're gearing up for um, all of the Marvel. They've got a Halloween special that they've been teasing with Werewolf by Night and all of that. I wonder if maybe there's going to be some Dracula.
I mean, Marvel is talking about a new Blade movie.
Yeah.
And so, vampires, Dracula, all that fit into that nicely.
Yep. So, Tomb of Dracula number 1, facsimile edition.
All right, so Daredevil number 2 from the recent or the current ongoing series is going back to second print. So this is the Chichetto cover for Daredevil number 2, second print. Really nothing more to say on that.
No, it's just it's a cool cover, and it's
a very
interesting
cool
they left
cover.
the kind of green mouth gas.
Yeah.
And then a new omnibus edition or a new printing of the omnibus for Planet Hulk. So they're really getting you geared up because there is a new Planet Hulk comic series from Greg Pak coming up. We're kind of revisiting that world. But if you've never read it, it's right here, $100, 665 pages. Has stories from Fantastic Four, Hulk, Giant Size Hulk, What If, the guidebook, New Avengers Illuminati, Amazing Fantasy, and more. This is our main cover. And then we have our Ladrone portrait variant.
Okay, so I think this is coming out a lot because of Black Panther, Wakanda Forever is going to have Namor in it. And so this is Mighty Marvel Masterwork, Namor Submariner, graphic novel number 1, Quest Begins. So this is just $15.99. In this, you're going to get Daredevil number 7 and Tales to Astonish number 70 through 80. So that's 11 comics that you're getting in this for $15.99. This is where Namor, he's searching for the Trident of Neptune. He needs it to become just sort of the legitimized ruler of Atlantis. So I wonder if anything from this is being taken from with Wakanda Forever. They've really kept it very close to the chest
Yeah.
on what Namor is going to be doing in that film, what he's going to be after, what's going to be going on. You know, this of course was done by Stan Lee with art by Gene Colan. So if you want a lot of hard to find issues for a very affordable price, it's just $15.99.
They're kind of the smaller editions, but we've had so many people come in and pick those up because they're doing like very consecutive volumes of this. So you're getting a lot of really hard to read stuff.
Yep. So here's the regular cover, and then here's a variant. This is the Roamer variant.
It's pretty cool. And we also have the first volume of Grimm coming out in the collected edition. This is issues 1 through 5 of the amazing new book from Boom, and it is only $14.99.
Yep, I approve. This has been a really good series. Every issue has been awesome. In fact, this would be really good to read all together because every issue I'm like, this was good. I want more. So. All right, so Closet, James Tynion's existential horror comic is coming out. This is the entire volume 1 altogether for $14.99. So anyone who wants to read all that collected, or you miss certain issues, or you're just waiting to read it all together, here's your opportunity to get that.
And then one I've been looking forward to. This is the collected edition of G.I. Joe Saturday Morning Adventures for only $12.99. I'm not sure if it's a smaller size because that seems like a really affordable price for, I believe, a 5 or 6 issue miniseries, but takes place in the kind of universe of the original G.I. Joe cartoon show. If you like the fun of that old show, the goofiness, the campiness, very on the nose. And in this one, Cobra Commander gets a genie. So really cool. They've got the Ninja Turtles one coming out next. So get on board with these. Saturday Morning Adventures for only $12.99.
I mean, Cobra Commander holding Genie Lamp, like you had me at that because it's great because it's like ultimate power, but Cobra Commander, his main problem is he's so dumb.
Yeah.
He, not like he's dumb, but he always picks things. His hubris gets in the way.
Yeah, he'd rather go for a grandiose victory than a sure bet.
Yeah.
And so
every single time. All right, that is our show for this week. So thank you very much for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of our videos. We'll be back on Monday where we review all the new comics that have come out.
Yes.
So, and those of you who like to purchase comics, Megan, after we close the shop at 8 o'clock tonight, Eastern Time, we'll be doing a Whatnot show where she sells comics. Like literally as soon as we close the doors, she's selling comics. Sometimes we're still shooing people out.
Yeah.
So she'll be on Whatnot at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, have a great rest of your day.